Experience the joy of watching your friends and family's faces light up when you feed them wild game you harvested and made into delicious sausages, or meat you barbecue and grill with the finest seasonings available. Visit our friends at waltons.com to find everything you need to turn wild game into tasty meat snacks or spice up your barbecue with new flavors and seasonings. With over 500 seasonings to choose from, there's something that everyone will love. They even have step-by-step videos and how-to articles at Meatgistics to help you go from animal to edible. Use coupon Rangers15 at checkout to save 15% on your first order at waltons.com. Waltons, everything but the meat.
This is Curtis Terry from the Round Rock Express, and you're listening to the Ranger Report.
Welcome to the Ranger Report prod.
Whoa, Ranger Report. Oh, Ranger Report. If you want the inside scoop, listen to the Ranger Report. All right, yeah, here we go.
This is the Ranger Report podcast. News, insights, predictions, interviews, and information about the Texas Rangers from the major leagues to the minor leagues. And now, here are your hosts, Ben Dieter and CJ Berryman.
All right, welcome to the Ranger Report podcast. You can find us on Twitter. I am at BDeater75.
I am CJ Berryman. You can find me at CJB_RR on that twit box thingy major twit clean.
That's right. And we are brought,
whatever it is.
We are brought to you by Walton's, everything but the meat, and also brought to you by Dallas Sports Nation. And we are joined tonight by someone that CJ has a relationship with. Jace, how's it going, man?
It's going pretty good. How y'all doing?
Jace Hightower, one of my BFFs. You know, we got to sit down. He came home for was it around Christmas time? Well, to watch the Patrick Mahomes fumble fart against the Bengals. And he brought a DiGiorno pizza over and some toilet paper. So I appreciate it.
You know, got to bring the essentials.
Those are both very essential. I would agree with that. So I would agree. So CJ, when did you and Jace become friends?
Let's ask Jace that question.
Well, I've known you for about too long. I'd say probably in T-ball. No, it's probably when we first kind of met each other over the years. You know, we always were playing baseball against each other, sometimes with each other. And so I've been friends with this guy for, 30-something years now, I guess.
That's a few minutes.
Yeah.
Talk about our relationship in regards with the Rangers, because you and I can go back and forth with random ass names going way, way, way back. And not just random names with the Rangers, but random names in baseball, and just kind of talk about that and how fun it is that you and I can go back and forth. I mean, we could talk all night long, and we have talked all night long about random Ranger stuff.
You know, something that I've always kind of liked about it was just I'm kind of a stats nerd, not like a sabermetrics person. I won't get started on WAR right now, but yeah, you know, so I always liked kind of rooting for the little guy, like that one year in the early 2000s when like Herbert Perry hit almost 30 home runs almost or something. And I was like, cool. Herbert Perry never played more than like one at bat, you know, but you know, it was always something fun like that where weird things like that would always stick in my brain.
So I know the answer to this question. When we were in high school and the Rangers were kind of turning over a new leaf, who was your favorite player?
Oh, that's Michael Young.
No. Wrong answer.
Oh, before him?
Yep.
Oh, man. It was Rusty Greer. Yeah, and then I was going to say between Rusty Greer and Michael Young, I was a big Kevin Mensch fan too.
You know, I had Kevin Mensch. I did this podcast before, and I had Kevin Mensch on a couple of different times. And pretty awesome dude. But one of the best ones was he called me while I was driving down I-20 on the way home from somewhere. And like I had to answer the phone while I'm pulling over, and I had to pull over, set up my recording software, like plug in the phone, plug in the microphone. And he was like, dang, I must be pretty important for you to go through all that just to talk to me. But yeah, he was an incredible dude, man. I had him on a couple of different times, and he really, really, I mean, just as nice as could be. He was working with kids at that point in the Dallas area in a batting practice type area where he would work with them. Just an amazing dude to talk to. So yeah, that's a good favorite to have.
Yeah, I first saw him before he got called up. I think the first time I was living up around Oklahoma City, so it was back when Oklahoma City was the AAA affiliate.
Yep.
And the Rangers came down, and it was, I want to say it was either the first or I think it was like the first or second year that Soriano was there. Happy anniversary of that trade.
Which we could have had Robinson Cano.
Yeah, well, Joaquin Arias, he had some things going for him in the minors. But yeah, Kevin Mench hit a bomb off. I think it might have been Ryan Drees or some, I can't remember who it was now. I saw that and I was like, man, that dude crushed it. And then a few months later, there he was in the bigs. I was like, I saw that dude. We're basically brothers now.
Well, he still holds the record. Was it 7 games in a row that he hit a home run?
7 games in a row, yeah. 2005. Yep.
Only right-hander to do it.
Yeah.
And I loved when he was not on Twitter anymore, but when he was, his handle was Big-Headed Shrek, which I loved.
It's nice that he just kind of leaned into it.
It is, yeah. He did.
It's just like the chemo possum thing. You just kind of,
Yeah. Big-Headed Shrek, chemo possum, both really good nicknames.
No.
Shut up, Ben.
I mean, I can't say much. I had bad nicknames growing up, but I'm not going to share any of them on here right now.
Well, I've got one for you now. Of course, you know which one that is. Santa Claus.
I do, yeah. And that one, but that one's not insulting enough. Well, I guess it is since I'm only in my 40s, but people have thought I was Santa Claus since I was in my 20s. So I guess it doesn't really matter. All right. Well, the Rangers have, and CJ and I have talked about this a little bit, but wanted to bring Jason on this. The Rangers are headed in what I think is the right direction, and a lot of Rangers fans think is the right direction with all the players they brought in and the ones they're going to try to bring in after this stupid lockout is over, which we'll talk about a little later. But I mean, Jace, how do you feel right now with Seager and Simeon and John Gray and Cole Calhoun and the direction that the Rangers are trending with all their minor league players?
To put it mildly, pumped beyond belief. I think it was kind of rough, obviously, watching last year and having, growing up, we always kind of had, those, it was always sort of the opposite. Our pitchers might have like a 6 ERA, but we're going to hit 400 home runs a season. And so last season was just sort of rough. All those times we couldn't punch in runs or couldn't get any momentum going. And
yeah.
So having both Simeon and Seager in that lineup, I can't help but feel like we're going to have a little bit more run support so that, especially when some of these young kids get out there, they probably will feel like they can make a mistake or two because, you got those two dudes coming up in the rotator in the lineup. So it's got to feel pretty good, I think, all around.
And you're a Taylor Hearn fan.
Big time. Yep.
So talk about whenever you became a fan of his and how cool was it that we got him on? And by the way, let me go ahead and preface this. Me and Jace were actually in a legitimate fight. We were like legitimately arguing and mad at each other. And then I got Taylor Hearn on and I announced that. And he goes, I was really mad at you yesterday, but now you have totally redeemed yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, I was about to write you out of my will. So that's what saved you, man. I think, and now I can't remember who it was, but he had an at bat in his when he was first called up that, he kind of didn't get a couple of calls early in the count, but I just really liked his approach that he just kept firing away and wouldn't back down. And, I was never a pitcher, but I feel like if that was me, I'd be like, screw it. I'm just going to walk this dude and move on to the next. And I think that's, listening to your interview, kind of hearing how, he grew up in a rodeo family. It's just not in his nature to back down. So I like watching him pitch because he doesn't, even when he was first up, it didn't seem too big for him and it didn't seem intimidated out there. Whereas I would probably, after like one pitch, be weeping on the mound, like I'm not good enough.
All right, well let's turn to lockout talk, and they're going to meet tomorrow. And we got news of that pretty much right when me and Ben were finishing up our interview with Brad Sham earlier, and so we wanted to get your thoughts. First off, What are your thoughts on Rob Manfred? I've already made them very, very, very. Ben's had to curtail me a little bit.
Talk you down off the cliff.
Yeah, because I was throwing fire. So, what are your thoughts, Jace?
I try to temper my perceiving rage with the knowledge that like he's kind of at the mercy of the owners. But even still, I mean, I think to myself, well, you know, was it Branch Rickey back in the day who like was the ultimate kind of players commissioner? I feel like there's opportunities for him to give the players what they want without really hurting the bottom line of the owners. And you look at it, the owners, you know, their total revenues went up 30%, whereas the average player's salary went down 6%. And for every guy out there earning, you know, 500 million or, you know, whatever, you know, for 13 years, there's, you know, 100 of them that are, you know, on minor league deals or coming up and playing for the same kind of, you know, salary that, you know, my wife makes as a teacher. So,
yeah,
you know, it's tough to live on her.
Ben's a teacher too, so he feels your pain.
Yeah, you know, so, you know, it is. It's tough enough to get by if you're just trying to make it on one, you know, teacher salary. And you got these billionaires saying, oh, you know, hey, you're asking for too much. You're in. To me, I feel like Manfred is just
he's a tool bag.
Yeah, he's a succubus ripping the soul of baseball out of not only the game, but he's just like sucking the life force directly out of the fans, especially younger fans or ones who are not quite as, you know, ready to hit you with like the FP Santangelo talk or something. You know?
That's
you can name all these dudes from like the old Expos, but I mean, all across the spectrum, you can see how long it took them after the 94 strike. It took baseball, you know, having 3 dudes hit like a combined 9 million home runs one season to like get the sport back.
Yep.
On steroids.
Yeah. You know, well, you know, they never really proved it with Bonds. So
yeah, never.
No, I mean, if you honestly, funny story. I like when I first saw Bonds with the Giants, like I didn't really remember him with the Pirates. And so I honestly thought that the Barry Bonds on the Pirates was a different dude than the Barry Bonds on the Giants. I was like, man, what are the odds that there's 2 Barry Bonds in the National League? And someone was like, no, dude, that's the same guy. He's just, his head grew 4 sizes and
the old,
it's like the baseball Grinch, but instead
the old Saturday Night Live skit. Did you ever see that one with Barry Bonds? And they asked him how that.
Oh, you don't bring up Saturday Night Live with
neck
Jace.
exercises.
He loves Saturday Night Live.
Like, but your head grew 4 times bigger. Head exercises. That was a good skit.
Yeah. So. Yeah, anyway, Manfred, he's hot garbage. He's a soup sandwich. And that's my expert opinion as a dude who just sits on his ass and watches baseball a lot.
Well, that makes 3 of us that do that. And we all agree with you that I like soup sandwich. I'm going to remember that one. He's a soggy, nasty sandwich. That's
putting that in the vault Seinfeld style.
Yeah. Taking baseball and rubbing some dirt on it, but not in the good way.
Yes.
I'm not sure what that means, but it sounded good in my head. Not sure. All right. Speaking of prospects that I mentioned earlier, there was a video that came out recently of Jack Leiter throwing some pitches in his Rangers garb. Jace, did you get a chance to see that? And what did you think of him?
Yeah, I did. And I didn't realize we had drafted a centaur. That dude is like, my goodness. Like, I was like, there was some muscles on that dude's legs. And I mean, I'm not trying to sound like I was stalking him, but
you would though. You would.
I would, you know, hey, I'll take a sugar daddy. But that dude, I mean, it's good to see from what little I know of pitching. A lot of it comes from like the waist down. So if that's the case, then that dude's going to be set up for success for quite a while.
Yeah. He's got tree trunks for legs. I was so shocked to see that.
Yeah, you know, because like, you know, seeing him on draft night, I was like, oh, okay, he's just, you know, some lanky. I mean, he looks like a mini Al Leiter. So that was all I thought. I was like, oh, he's like a lankier Al Leiter. Cool. Then Seeing him out there on the mound, I was like, my God, he's a goat boy. And that in the kindest way possible. I'm not trying to put down the guy. He's obviously.
Yeah, he's got horse legs, is what it looks like. Yeah. And I mean, there's so much excitement coming from the pitch. And see, me and Jace used to revel in, and we've talked about this many times on the podcast, Ben, the DVD, the Diamond, Volquez, and Danks thing that was coming up, because that's all we had to hope for as far as minor league pitching. And now it is fully stocked. You got Jack Leiter, you got Cole Winn, you got Jake Latz, you got Yanni Hernandez, Yeri Rodriguez, you got, just AJ Alexi, Glenn Otto, Spencer Howard. The list goes on. Jace, this is the best I've seen our pitching in the farm. Well, Spencer Howard, you can't count him as being on the farm, but this is the best it's looked in a long time.
Yeah, and I like the balance throughout the system. It's not just, I feel like kind of during the World Series run at that time, it felt like it was a little more heavily skewed towards offense. That's just my opinion, but I like that. We have all these super talented kids out there pitching, and you can look at the different positions on the field, and you're not like, oh man, we're gonna have to get rid of some of these prospects to fill a hole there because they already got it taken care of.
Yeah, they have an abundance of players at every position, which is good. CJ already mentioned, the pitchers, and then at shortstops in infield, you got Josh Young, you've got Blaine Krim, you've got Jack Spiggers, you've got Justin Foscue, you've got, Josh Smith, you've got all these guys infield,
Ezekiel Duran.
Yep. And then on the outfield, you got guys like Bubba Thompson and Josh Stowers, and, now the other names are escaping me, but at every position, at every level, they have a plethora of guys, just too many guys at each position. And that's great because some of these guys are going to be used in trades, and some of these guys are going to change positions and make it for the Rangers. And unfortunately, some of them won't make it at all, but there's so many that the odds are that they're going to be good for a little while coming up.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's, and, obviously I'm really excited for Josh Young. I'm a Tech fan. So
I'm
excited to see him play, get Junior. I'm going to call his brother Jace, my son. So until the day comes where there's like a Jace quickening and I have to go Highlander on all of them, but
yeah.
But yeah, it's probably, like you were saying, just one of the more exciting times as a Rangers fan, knowing that we have just almost a embarrassment of riches coming up for us. And so, and then knowing that they're going to be able to break in with guys like Corey Seager, who has, done just about everything you can want to do in the major leagues, I think. Except, I don't know, there's probably some natural thing like he wants to knock out a light pole or something, but
Well, he said when they signed him that he was, looking forward to being on the first Rangers World Series winning team.
Yeah.
So, that is something I think that enticed some free agents to come here and will continue to be I would like to be a part of that history if I was a player.
Yeah. And, I think you watch how the DFW area fans have clung to the triplets for
yeah.
Emmitt Smith will never have to buy himself a drink or a beer or anything in Dallas ever again. So, and if it was me, even Dat Wynn or someone could get away with just about anything around there. So
yeah,
I feel like we as a whole fan base are pretty good to our players. We'll stick with them, and you do right by us, we'll do right by you, kind of a thing.
Amen to that. So now we're going to wrap up here. So this is the toughest question ever. What's your go-to at Whataburger, Jace?
Got to go number 2, grilled jalapenos. I know it's jalapenos, but I like to say it like a weirdo sometimes. And then you got to get the water-sized fry. And I also sometimes will get like a chicken sandwich or another double burger when I'm feeling especially spicy. And, it tastes great. Sometimes the people behind the counter start crying. They're like, my God, this dude's going to eat us out of business. But, that's my go-to right there. That number 2 with grilled jalapenos.
All right. So I'm going to allow you one opportunity here. All right. This is a surprise. This is not on the notes, and I didn't give this to you, Jace. Now be discreet. What's the funniest story you have on me? Now, remember, This is going to go everywhere. So pick your story. Choose wisely.
Okay.
And that's not a very good option either.
I know there's okay. I'll go with keeping within the baseball theme and keeping, you off certain police radars.
It was one time.
That they know of.
Jace was front and center for that. He got to see a bloody and muddy CJ.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I'm saying. We're done with that one.
I think one of my favorite times, I was notoriously bad at baseball. As much as I love the sport, it never loved me back. It's something I'm working on with my counselor, but it was an abusive relationship mainly for all those years that I played. But our 1 year I was I was playing against CJ here, who was the good pitcher.
Oh, I know you're going here.
In his own right. But, I oftentimes would lead the league in strikeouts without ever throwing a pitch. And CJ here, he had a real good curveball and he could pitch. If you look at him now, you wouldn't believe it, but he was a bit of an athlete back in the day.
Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and say, I got the Chemo Possum nickname right now, and it's not near the cool ass nickname you gave me back then. Remember that one?
Not off the top. Oh yeah. Flame flicker here, man.
Yeah. There you go.
He had a little late heat on the ball, man. So it just kind of come out and then pop. But so I'm up there. We're down, I think, a run or two. I don't remember now. Had a couple of runners on. I had hit my first ever home run after 38 years of trying.
You did 2 home runs that day.
Yeah, 2. I was like, this is my chance to be one day, my moment in the spotlight. And CJ pretty much knew he had an out as soon as I stepped in the box. But I was feeling myself that day. I was like, man, I had my Wheaties. I got my big boy britches on. We about to do this. So, he throws a fastball and I smashed that thing, but it hooks foul. And he looks at me like, what the crap, dude? Like you've never touched anything I've ever thrown. Like he threw a curveball one time that almost made me fall down out of the, I was trying to check my swing and I fell into the other batter box. And I was oftentimes just looking like a straight ass up there. So I fouled that one off, and I'm up there putting up a pretty good fight. And CJ steps off the mound, if I remember right, because he actually had to think about what he was going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And he throws, I think the last pitch it was a fastball again, right? If I remember right.
The last pitch, no, it was the curve.
It was a curve, right? You threw a fastball again, and I hooked that one, I think, down the left.
Yep.
I almost got my third home run off here, but nope, he threw a curveball, and I kind of pissed my pants, and I flailed at it weakly, and that was that. But it was a lot of fun getting to hit my first home run in front of all my friends, and CJ was proud of me until we took the lead, and then he wasn't so proud anymore. But I think that's one of my favorite stories there.
Yeah, so I was playing shortstop that game because I was playing West Texas League as well. So they limited how much I could pitch in the league that we were playing in. So I was the closer. So they brought me in to close the game out. And I faced Jace that day. But I was playing shortstop, and Jace crushed 2 home runs. And every time he rounded second, I was giving him a high five. And then after the game was over, I went and talked to the umpire and got a ball. And I went and gave it to Jace. I was like, dude, that was awesome. That was so cool to see. Sorry, I had to make you look foolish, but
I mean, you've been doing it for, over a decade by that point. So that was one more time.
I was not expecting you to go there, Jace. I was expecting something a little more embarrassing.
Yeah, I figured since I'm in a kind mood today, I'll if you ever have me on again, I'll share those stories then.
I don't think we need to do that.
Well, it sounds like that'll be the last time you'll be on, Jace.
Yeah, it was a great time, though. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, Jace, man, we appreciate it, brother. I mean, this has been fun, and I mean, hell, with the lockout, I figured, let's get Wade on, and we're probably going to lead the podcast off tonight with Wade doing the Ranger.
Yeah, a song he wrote for us.
So
sorry, talented bastard Wade.
Well, what's funny is during the interview, which I know you heard. I told Ben, you could throw a stick at him and he could make music out of it. And he goes, okay, watch this with my hands.
Yeah, he started making music with made like a whistle sound with his hands. It was really melodic.
Yeah, I was like, okay.
Yeah, he pisses me. I mean, I love Wade, but so I remember in like high school, he'd be like just sitting at the table during lunch, carving out like little apple sculptures and like singing game. It's like, why? Like, share some with the rest of us. I'm over here like can't tie my shoes right, and you're over here. Look at my apple sculpture. Like, man, go to hell, Wade. I love you.
Yeah, my claim to fame playing sports was striking out in slow pitch softball and looking bad doing it.
Yeah, I won't. Luckily, no one that any of us know has seen me play slow pitch, but it's pretty bad there too, man. I was playing third base one time and I heard the bat hit a ball and then I felt the ball hit my knee.
Oh.
And I was like, man, that's embarrassing because I was talking a big game before that.
Well, my best one was a double play because I was pitching. The ball got hit right back at me and I couldn't get my glove up fast enough and I caught it in my armpit.
Nice.
Like it just hit me and I fell over. And the umpire looks at my armpit and goes out. And then the dude had run to second, so I picked the ball out of my armpit and threw it over to first for the double play. And I had the laces of a softball on my chest and on my arm for like 2 weeks. That dude must have hit that ball like 70 miles an hour off the bat. It came fast.
It goes in the box score all the same.
It does. It was a double play. It doesn't matter. Well, Jace, thank you so much for joining us tonight, man.
Well, thank you for having me. I had a great time.
Yeah, man, I enjoyed it a whole lot. CJ, thanks for getting him on.
Oh yeah, no problem. And Jace, love you, brother, and thanks for coming on. It's always a blast to hear your voice, man. I miss you.
Yeah, miss you too sometimes.
Thanks for listening to the Ranger Report podcast. Find us on Twitter, Facebook, and at therangerreport.com.